Welcome to Tuesday, the 26th day of December, 2023. This Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Hot Springs County Travel and Tourism. Reminding you as it gets colder and snow falls, at Thermopolis you can always find yourself in hot water. Well, blizzard conditions this morning for many of you across Nebraska, South Dakota, the far eastern and southeastern counties of Wyoming, parts of eastern Colorado, northwest Kansas. That very disorganized merging storm that was giving us so many headaches through the Christmas weekend has just come together. And it has formed a gigantic storm across the nation's midsections. We'll show you here on the satellite photo. That storm brought in snow and some very cold temperatures, as highlighted there by those temperatures in the Laramie Valley. Right after that front came on through, 15 degrees below zero, and that photo was taken with lots of hoarfrost in those sub-zero temperatures behind the first wave of that disorganized storm. But now that the storm has come together and it is increasing in intensity, we saw blizzard conditions initially with that disorganized system. But as it's come together, now it's really getting itself organized and covering a large part of real estate. So this will make for extremely poor travel and livestock weather conditions through today, into tonight, and into early Wednesday. Now, as we get into mid to late day tomorrow, and as we get to the second half of the week, the low will reach its peak strength, move into the Midwest Great Lakes area, moving out of this region, and high pressure will build in for fair, cold, but drier weather conditions for the second half of the week and probably into the weekend. I think we'll probably go through New Year's weekend with nothing too bad, as this storm is so large. It is so big. It is just rearranging the way the jet stream pattern across North America is going to behave here for the next 7 days or so. The first wave that came on in Saturday and Saturday night into Sunday morning, bringing another good shot of snow to Lander. Boy, Lander's one of those areas you take this storm, you add the Thanksgiving storm on top of it. It's been the holiday snow events for parts of the Wind River Basin of Wyoming. Snow amounts have really varied, but just about everybody ended up with a white Christmas. There it is. Talk about a large storm system. Here's the lower 48 states. Look at the scale of the impacts of the system, basically to the Continental Divide, and then all the way out. You can see the circulation of the system is covering a huge amount of real estate. Look at that. Look at that big old swirl. The storm system, the merger of the two systems, basically the merger of the southern jet, the polar jet coming together. And this is why we were so concerned and so frustrated last week in terms of what was going to happen with this scenario. And we always show you the different models. None of them got it all correct, but all of the models had something correct, but none of the models had a storm of this magnitude and intensity just 4 or 5 days ago. So this is a real doozy here to end the year with. And then as we head on into the new year, it certainly is looking a lot more like winter. And there's the 500 millibar chart. You can see the huge scope of this storm, and also notice that it's detached from the polar jet. So that's why it's moving so slowly, and that counterclockwise rotation is bringing Gulf of Mexico moisture in, wrapping around it, pulling colder air in on the back side of it. The tightness of these lines together, a huge pressure gradient causing the very strong surface wind. So this is this morning. This will be by Thursday morning. So it takes 2 days to go from southeastern Nebraska, northeastern Kansas to southern Illinois. So it really doesn't go very far in 2 days. Therefore, even though the heavier snow threat will be moving out by late tonight and tomorrow in many areas, the wind and the cold will be lingering through a good portion of Wednesday into Wednesday night. But high pressure does want to come in behind it, but you can see the whole eastern side of the country will be affected by the storm. Warm air pulled out ahead of it will cause rain. Cold air on the back side of it will cause probably some lake effect snows and some unsettled weather in the Midwest later this week and into the New Year's weekend for that part of the country. This is the forecasted precipitation through Thursday morning. So you can see up here on the northern areas where the heavier moisture is getting wrapped back into South Dakota, North Dakota, parts of Nebraska. And this storm has gotten so large and is moving so slowly, wrapping blizzard conditions back into eastern Wyoming and eastern Colorado. When we look at the snowfall, this is through Thursday morning as well. So the bullseye is right here of the heaviest snow. South Dakota, parts of Nebraska, just taking it on the chin with this one. And if we take a little bit of a closer look, you can see that the deeper moisture has reached back all the way into eastern Wyoming and eastern areas of Colorado. Now, we are certainly having terrain effects. The Pine Ridge from Chadron and Alliance and the Sandhills to Lusk to east of Casper to near Douglas is one area where there's going to be enhanced snowfall because of the northerly winds are going upslope into that ridge, upslope into the northern Black Hills as well, then upslope into the Cheyenne Ridge in southeastern Wyoming, then into the mountains of southern Wyoming there. Then we get a downslope hole here in the immediate northern front range of Colorado before it starts to go upslope on the Palmer Divide. So the upslope, downslope components on the western edge of the storm is why it looks like there's fingers coming in on the west side of the storm system. So it's going to be a busy next 24 to 36 hours with this storm. You can see that if you're west of the divide here, you're not going to know that really anything's going on because you're not going to have the wind, you're not going to have the snow, you're going to be under high pressure. And there it is, focusing a little bit more, and it shows you that snow amounts are going to vary depending on where you are along and east of the divide, is the terrain playing a big role. The wind is going to be a big problem. These are the wind gusts forecasted between now and Thursday morning. You can see extremely strong winds along Interstate 80 here in southeastern Wyoming and western Nebraska. Very strong winds in the northeastern Colorado, through the Dakotas, through Nebraska. This basically, with the snow and the blowing snow, is where you're going to have the blizzard conditions throughout the course of the day today. And really, it really won't be until late tomorrow morning before the winds ease up. Now, by the weekend, by New Year's weekend, we have high pressure building on in. The storm system kind of begins to fall apart and becomes disorganized, but is still going to make it stormy and unsettled along the East Coast and in the Great Lakes, while high pressure builds over the Rockies and the high plains. So we really don't expect much weather in the, let's say, the Thursday through probably Monday time frame at the moment, as the stormy weather in the Pacific will get held off by this high again. But eventually that will break, and we expect that from what we're seeing, after the first, this is towards the middle of next week, this is probably going to be a pretty good storm system in terms of being a weather maker coming into the West Coast, then probably into the Rockies mid to late next week. And our long-term trends look colder as we get deeper into January. Have yourself a good Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.